Hey y'all. So today I'm coming to you with a serious topic. It's about intimate partner violence. And I want to share my story with everyone because I think it might help, um, people my age, people older than me, and especially people younger than me that, might be in their first relationship and, they might have the same history that I have, and I just want to make sure that you kind of learn from my mistakes. And that's also like therapeutic thing of finally like talking about it in public, because for a while I've just been keeping it to myself and to certain people. But yeah, so trigger warning for anybody who has suffered from that. I'm not gonna get like nothing like gory happened, but I just wanted to say that just in case it triggers you, whether it's something that happened to you or somebody you know. So first I'll go through my family history. Growing up, I did not see healthy relationships. Not all of them were necessarily abusive, but I don't remember seeing an example of a marriage or relationship that I wanted. Also, I'm not going to be mentioning any names or like anything like that, because I'm not trying to be messy and I'm not trying to put anybody's business out there. I'm literally just sharing my story. So anyway, back to my family history. So yeah, grandparents down to aunts and uncles and, family friends. I just always saw if it wasn't abusive, it just wasn't the type of relationship that I wanted in life. There would be people that I see that would be in a relationship, but it felt like they didn't necessarily want to be there. And especially the women that I saw growing up, like it just seemed like they were there just to keep up appearances and to be married, and also for religious reasons. A lot of people, they want to get married before they have kids, and so seeing that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so miserable. Like, I don't want to be with somebody and I don't want to stay with somebody just because we have kids. Again, I don't have kids, so I don't know what that is like, but I can say that it just seems like something that would be very, very depressing. And then you had the older people, the older aunts and uncles, the older grandparents, and maybe some of them were in love at some point in life before I got here, or maybe when I was younger. But as I grew older, I just felt like certain people just stayed there because it was like, oh, we're old now and we got each other. It was just like a means for survival, which is really understandable, especially in the Black community. But I don't know, I just always felt like you're never too old to start over, or to just be by yourself and find true happiness. And then there were the abusive relationships that I saw growing up. It ranged from physical to emotional / like just like verbal. So there'd be times where I see like people literally get beat up, and the people in my family would tell me, if a man ever puts his hands on you or does this X, Y, and Z, leave him. But they would stay in the relationship, and so it was like confusing. And when I was younger, it made me kind of lose respect for certain people. I was like, why do you choose to stay here if this person is hurting you? Again, I'm like 10, realizing a lot of stuff and seeing a lot of stuff. You know, mostly because I am the older sibling, and so as an older sibling you see a lot that the younger siblings don't, and you're just kind of like, why the fuck are people still here? Like, why do you want to stay in this relationship? This person keeps beating you up. And then there would be times where both parties would be emotionally abusive to each other, just like gaslighting each other or being manipulative. And I was just like, this is miserable, like, to keep doing this on a weekly basis, or like anytime I see them, which is pretty often. And it's like, ugh, that is so tiring. And then the verbal abuse I saw a lot. And I didn't know that it was verbal abuse. I just thought it was normal behavior until I got older, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. I think when I was like, I want to say elementary school years, I was just kind of like, ugh. And then kind of went on about my business. And then middle school to high school years, I was like, this doesn't feel good, but I can't really pinpoint what doesn't feel good about it. Like, I didn't have the language that I have today. And so, you know, I just took all of that history, all that trauma that I saw, and I always said to myself, like, oh, I'm never going to end up like them. Like, I'm never going to be in a relationship like that. I'm never going to force something that doesn't need to be forced or anything like that. And blam, I got to high school and I found myself a little boyfriend, a little friend. And what do you know? Same thing happened to me. Now, I didn't go through, like, I didn't get, like, beat up or anything like that. It was more so verbal and emotional, like the manipulation and, like, the gaslighting, but then also, like, the name calling. Yeah, so I was in that relationship from the time I was 14 to 21, so it was a pretty long time. Took a lot of my formative years, so I think around that time I was just kind of like, oh, I'm just happy to have a boyfriend. I was happy to have a boyfriend, one, because, like, I've never had one. During those formative years, I was just happy to have a boyfriend because I wasn't allowed to have one until I turned 16. And I was so nervous about it because I was like, oh my gosh, if my mother finds out, she's going to kill me. Like, I was, you know, I was raised in a household that did not play that mess. So, you know, I kept it a secret from, like, my parents, which most of us did in the family. Like, if we ever had a boyfriend, it was just like, yeah, you know, it's a secret between all of the siblings. And yeah, I was just happy to have one, also because I wasn't the shiniest tool in the shed, and I use that I can't think of the word right now. That analogy? Saying? I don't know. I use that to describe, like, how I felt about myself. Like, I didn't think about myself as, like, a human who has, you know, wants and needs and things that need to be met. I was just kind of like, oh, I want to be pretty and I want to be this. Like, I was teased a lot in school. So I was like, oh, cool, I have a boyfriend now. Like, I am like the normal girls in school, so don't mess with me. Most of the time, like I said, it was just verbal, like calling me stupid or whatever anytime that person was upset. And it didn't necessarily have to do with me all the time. It was just kind of like, this person, we're all teenagers and we're growing up, and certain people kind of express their anger in a certain way. Me, I would wait till I got alone to express my anger, or I would just hold it in. Like anytime anything happened to me, I would just try to hold it in, and then when I got home, I would cry or cry in the shower or whatever. But, like, from the outside, I was just trying to like basically be like the woman in my family, like trying to be perfect, trying to like fit into this mold. And not that I really understood what the mold was, right? Because I'm like 14. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And then I, graduated high school, and then after that, I clearly stayed. But then it kind of ramped up a little bit because I wasn't allowed to go out at all in high school. Like, I think I went to like 1 or 2 parties, and then it was canceled. I was either on punishment or I couldn't go because it was too late and they needed to meet somebody's parent and all this drama. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay home. And I, again, as being the older sibling, I was basically like a second mom and having all this responsibility on me. So I had to do well in school, I had to do well at home, and then like be the perfect girlfriend, whatever that means in high school. But the pressure was there. So like I said, afterwards, after high school is when I was like able to go out, like turned 18, I was going to the club with friends, meeting new people, like going out there. And mind you, whenever my friends or like the person I was with would go out, I didn't care because we're all young. And I would like I wasn't the type to like ever think about marriage, and I'll get into that later. But I was just kind of like, whatever, we're young, like you're not married to me, you ain't gotta like just go have fun for me, because I clearly I can't have fun. So yeah, I was going out, and that became an issue for that person, and that person would say some really hurtful things to me, like just basically about what I'm wearing, or then they would do manipulative stuff in high school. Like they would hack into my Facebook, and anytime a guy was talking to me, like they would message them or like block them, and then I would get on my Facebook account and they'd be like, oh, you blocked me and you said you didn't blah blah blah, and I'm like, what? I didn't do that, like. And I'm a really friendly person and outgoing to a certain extent, especially back then. Like I was just like, ooh, friends, people, because again, it's not like I was going out. So if I can connect with somebody that I went to school with and just like talk about goofy stuff like shows or whatever, I'm not thinking that people are flirting with me, and I don't think those people were flirting with me. But anyway, so when it came time, like fast forward to like when I was going out, like 18, 19, 20, yeah, it was just like, what are you wearing? Like, you look like this, look like that. And it's just like, I just want to look pretty, I just want to look cute. Clearly I'm faithful to you. So like, I don't, if I've always been the type of person I was just like, if somebody gonna look, somebody gonna look. And that's for both people. Like, someone's gonna look at you, I'm not gonna be jealous about it. Like, I don't expect you to entertain it. And that's really good that I had that trait at such a young age, because some of my friends, like, a little cray about that. So yeah, that would happen. And then anytime we would get into an argument, again, called stupid so many names. And then when I would express like how I felt, because I'm the type of person, if I have a problem, like I want to like talk about it, because I didn't want to end up like the people in my family. Like I didn't want to not say anything and like cry to myself. Like I'm in a relationship now, and I'm older, and I'm learning things every single day, and I'm expressing how I feel and what this person did to me, and they would just kind of like gaslight me and turn it around on me and make it look like I was crazy. And then also after an argument, this person would like go out and get me gifts to kind of make up for it. And it was cute when I was 18, but by the time I was 20, I was like, this is weird. Like, this is weird. And then they would turn that around on me and be like, yeah, but I got you this and I got you that. And I would drive you here and drive you there. And it was like, ain't nobody asked you to do that, you know? And I always, like, I've always been very grateful anytime somebody gets me anything. Like, I'm not the type to be like, yeah, that's right. Like, I'll say thank you. You know, that's just who I am. And I would literally say that. I'm like, nobody asked you to do that. Like, so as I was growing older, I was starting to learn things about myself. Like, anytime there'd be an argument, I would just like yell and waste so much energy. And then by the time I was like 20 going on 21, I was just so tired. I was over raising my voice, yelling, like anything. I was completely like over it, because I don't really yell. I don't really like to raise my voice when I'm talking to someone. The only time I do is like if I'm really agitated. And you can imagine in that situation, you're tired of kind of being like walked over like a mat, and you're tired of being somebody's punching bag anytime they have an issue. And you know, they don't take it out on the people that they have an issue with, they take it out on you. And so that constant like cycle of, you know, we're good when it's good, but then when it's good, I kind of feel weird about it, because it's just like, how long is it gonna last? And then the argument comes, and then I express how I feel, and then the gifts come, and then you know, saying like, oh, but I got you this, so you can't be mad at me for that. And it's like, so that cycle went on for years. I remember going on a trip with my grandparents in June of 2015, and that's when they let me like drive on the road. I did not have my license by then, because I had a fear of driving. A lot of anxiety around driving. I have no idea. I don't know. I was always afraid to get into an accident, and then I lost a family member to a car accident. So I was just like, cars, we're okay. We don't need to be in each other's lives. But during that time, I was like, oh, this feels nice, just like being on my own and being in my own head, and figuring out like what I want. Even though it was for a week, it still felt really nice to like be on the road with my grandparents and be happy. And then I also went on a trip with my girlfriend it was a cruise to Belize, Mexico, and Honduras. And there that was my second time out of the country, and I was just like, wow. Because she was single as well, and she would always travel everywhere and just do whatever she wanted to do. And I was like, and I would also talk to her about what was going on. I'm like, do you think I should stay? Like, do you think, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the right thing is. Like, I am 20 years old thinking that, you know, when you're in a relationship, you're supposed to stick it out. And it's like, no, you're not. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But again, I wasn't taught that when I was younger. Usually everybody just stayed. Everybody just stayed miserable. And I was really struggling with that, because I didn't want that to be my life. I don't know. On Valentine's Day of that year, you know, the both of us didn't have like any money, and that was fine. Like, if I wanted to be with somebody that was rich, I worked at a place where that was possible, but I didn't want that. I just kind of just wanted to be with that person. I just remember like making this dinner, like, you know, I bought the ingredients, bought everything, and I think I even bought like like candy or something like that, because, you know, Valentine's Day candy is the best, probably better than Halloween candy, I would say. So so I cooked us a dinner, and like throughout that dinner, this person would be like, can you get me another plate, like while I'm in the middle of eating my first plate? And I'm like, no, you can get it yourself. Like, you have 2 legs and 2 arms. You're fine. You can go get the food yourself. And I just remember being so offended by that question. I was offended by that question because it was just kind of like this person expected me to just automatically do something while I'm in the middle of eating. Like, I don't know. I just think that's kind of rude. So then you know, the dinner's done, and long story short, I basically had to teach that person how to wash the dishes because this person was just kind of like, they lived in a household where they just were like spoiled all the time, which is not an issue. Like, if your family can do that and provide that life for you, then good for you. I'm not the type to be like hating on it, but I do think it's like a little concerning when you're basically an adult and you don't know how to do simple adult things. And so I just remember like sitting there getting so frustrated because I had to teach this person how to wash dishes, and I was just like, is this gonna be my future? Like, because again, I didn't think that I was going to get married because pretty much every married couple that I saw is the type of marriage that I didn't want, unless it was on TV or unless it was a friend of mine and I'm like, oh, your parents actually like each other. Like, they're in love with each other and they like each other. And I didn't know how to achieve that type of lifestyle, especially at the age that I was. But yeah, I was just like having these thoughts of like, oh no, I can't do this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. Like, should I stay? I don't know. So throughout that whole year, I was just kind of like questioning my position and where it should go, because I soon noticed that this person was just like holding me back from everything that I wanted to do. You know, anytime I had an idea of what I wanted to do, they would shut it down immediately and just like mock me for it. But if that person had an idea or anything like that, I would be very supportive of it. Again, because I felt like if you're young and you don't have that many responsibilities, and even if you aren't young, if you're older, but I'm speaking from my experience, you know, we're young, do what you want to do. Like, do what you want. If you want to be a fireman and you want to go to training, fine, then do that. And it became very frustrating to me that this person had so many opportunities offered their way, you know, through family members or just opportunities that kind of fell into their lap, and they just didn't take it. And I didn't have that. Like, I've worked hard for pretty much everything that I have. Now, I have had some help from like my mother, but that's because I have the privilege of having a parent that went to school. But I just felt like, as a Black person, if I have these opportunities to do something, like, we're gonna take it, because it's not really the same. We don't have like the same, or I'll speak for myself, I didn't have the same opportunities as this person. You know, when I was in high school, I worked my ass off to get the grades that I got, and even helped that person out on their homework and stuff. But yeah, it was just like, damn, like, I would love to have, you know, an aunt or something like that owned a store, and that they would just be like, okay, you can come and work for me. Like, that would be so awesome. But yeah, I had a job at the time that I got through just based on my merit, and I didn't want to screw that job up, and I just kind of had this anxiety all the time of like, okay, I can't mess this up. I can't mess this up, because a lot of Black people will tell you, if a Black person gets an opportunity to do something, if you screw up even once, like, it could be the smallest mistake that could be the end of it all. I see it all the time with like athletes, or they mess up one time, they go out, they get a little too drunk, and they get arrested, and their scholarship's over, and it's like, damn. Meanwhile, Johnny over here is out here wilding, and he gets to stay on the team. Like, I've seen that happen before. So I had this anxiety of like I have to keep this job, I'm going to school, I'm doing all these things, and this person over here doesn't quite understand like what I'm going through, or like the amount of pressure that I'm under. That was very frustrating. So a week after I turned 21, I ended it. And it was so funny because like months leading up to it, I had so many panic attacks. I remember having my first panic attack at my desk at work, and I thought that I was having a heart attack, and I couldn't speak, and it was like I was beginning to breathe like and then it felt like my heart was coming out my butt, and I began to cry, and I couldn't speak. As weird as that sounds, like I couldn't say help. Like, it was just a lot going on. And that happened for a while, a couple of times throughout the years, I would say. But it started happening a lot more towards the end of the relationship, because it was just arguments after arguments, and just this person being manipulative and sneaky and all those other things. And it was getting to me, because I was just like, damn, like I'm trying my best to like stay here, but like, why am I trying my best to stay here? Like, just leave. I remember a really, really bad argument is when, we were driving on the way to my house, and it got into an argument so badly that this person like stopped the car, and I like hit my head on the the window, and I got out the car and I began to walk, and they sped off. And there was a woman in my neighborhood, and I usually do not talk to strangers, but that day I just knew I was like safe with her, and she was like, come on sweetie, because I was crying, I was huffing and puffing, and I was just like, I was so sad, like I was so broken. And she was just like, I've seen you guys argue before, and I seen like that whole thing, because we were just like, before that person sped off, we were just like arguing back and forth. And I didn't think that anybody could hear me, because I didn't see anybody outside. But she was like, you need to leave before it gets worse. And she was like, you're too beautiful and you're too young to be stuck in this relationship. So you need to leave, because next time it won't be that. Next time it's going to be a hand. And I guess she was right, because a few arguments later, this person like punched a hole in the wall, and I was like, damn, that could have been my head or something like that. And so yeah, a week after my 21st birthday, we got into an argument, and this person called me stupid again. And instead of crying and yelling like I usually did, I just said, I'm done with this. I literally just said, I'm done with this. And I got out the car, I closed the door. I didn't even slam the door. Like, I closed the door, I went into my house, and I locked the door. And I was just like, like, I went on about my day. And I made sure that he heard it. Like, I was like, I'm done with this. And like a few days afterwards, this person was texting me. I was like, are you serious? You're serious? You're done? Because we've broken up before, but it didn't stick. But this time I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired of exerting this energy. I don't want to be here. This is not what love is. This is not what love should feel like. So yeah. And I was also like, talked about behind my back and called all sorts of names. Like, I think I still have some screenshots of like what was said about me because it was hurtful, but also because it was just like to remind me of what not to go back to, because I was like, you know, this should be a reminder of what it felt like being in a relationship with this person. It didn't feel well. And the thing is, like, I didn't notice that until, like, again, I was 2021. So yeah. A couple of things that I learned about myself is that it's okay to not, like, it's okay to end things. And looking back, I probably should have ended things a little earlier. Also, kids that come from, you know, that have a family history of abuse tend to, you know, get into those relationships themselves. And it definitely made me have a lot more empathy for the people who, you know, were, you know, physically abused and emotionally abused and, you know, verbally abused. It definitely made me have more compassion, because I was like, oh, I get it why you stayed, because you love this person. You actually like love this person, you care about them, but you don't feel great when you're around them, and they don't make you feel great about yourself. And I also learned that sometimes you have to watch who you're with and like in their support system, because sometimes their support system is they kind of enable them to do whatever, and it's like, nah, that's not okay. I also learned that just because that you experience trauma, it doesn't give you the right to then push that onto someone else. Like, you gotta work through your shit. You gotta work through the demons that you go through, because you know, then you're creating that cycle, not, you know, for your children or whatever, but you're creating that cycle for someone else. And it has taken me a while to like even acknowledge that happened, or to even talk about it in therapy, because like at that time when I got out, I was relieved, but I think I should have sat there and like reflected. But I think it was like a fight or flight response to the situation. So it was like, you don't have time to worry. I think my mind and my body is like, you don't have time to worry about that. Just go on to the next thing. Like, do what you want to do. And I'm glad that I did that. Like, I'm glad that I started to figure out what I wanted for my future, what I wanted for myself. And eventually started doing those things like going back to school and like focusing on my career. But I didn't take the time to like say, this happened to me, and I felt kind of like silenced, because I didn't want to hurt that person's family, or that person's feelings. But it's kind of like, at this point, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's okay to talk about your story. And again, what I'm saying isn't to be messy, but it's just to like share my story, because there are a lot of girls, especially black girls, that are in my situation. A lot of black girls who have a family history of abuse, and they think that they have to stay because of the type of pressure that we have to face from the time that we pop out the womb to our formative years and our adult years. Like, we're pressured to be perfect and to be perfect wives and, you know, stay in a black woman's place. And it's like, nah, I'm not really rocking with that anymore. I never was, but now I know how to channel it, and I know how to speak up for myself. So I also learned that I'm stronger than I think, and I'm not actually stupid. But yeah, I am stronger than I think. And to just be compassionate towards everyone who goes through those things. I think me going through it myself just put things into perspective. But yeah, like, just kind of going through the motions of like, okay, you went through this, so how are we gonna get through it? And to be honest, I I didn't acknowledge it until like 2 years after it happened. And then I didn't go to therapy for it until last year. So, and not just that, it's just like, family stuff and that, and just other things that I experienced growing up that I didn't get the chance to talk about because I didn't have the space to. I'm gonna leave a link to organizations that are dedicated to helping women and men and everybody going through abusive situations. I will say that I'm thankful that I didn't have kids because I don't know what I would have done if I did have a kid in this situation. So yeah, I'll leave links for people who do have kids too. But another thing that I wanted to say is that if you or anyone you know are in this situation, just know that you're not alone. And hopefully the links that I leave in the description will help you through your situation. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, but hopefully my story just, gives you the confidence to hopefully leave your situation. I know that it's difficult. I know that certain people, they have like money issues and where they're dependent upon one person. So I'm not even going to say like, oh, just leave that person, but I hope that you are able to take steps to relieve yourself of that trauma and that stress and that person. And for the people who are like the abusers, please go to therapy, do something, because what you're doing to the person that you love is not love. It's not okay. So I hope this video helps someone in need. I hope this story helps you. I know that there are a ton of women and a ton of men on YouTube who have shared their stories, and I'm just adding mine as a different perspective, a perspective from a Black woman. So yeah, thank you for watching, and thank you for watching.